Happy Monday, everybody. How are you? I'm Michelle Lloyd, founder of United Art Space, and I'm back for my top tips on a Monday at 11. I hope you had a lovely weekend. I run a hub called United Art Space Hub, and it's for people who want to make a living from their art. And in the hub, we meet on Fridays and do studio sessions together. So we all come together from around the world on Zoom. And we all make art together for 2 hours. It's so much fun. And excuse me. And on Friday, we got talking about sketchbooks. And so I thought today I would hop on and talk about the importance of a sketchbook and the different ways you can use a sketchbook and how it can help you as an artist in so many ways that we just don't realize. So I remember a lady joining my hub membership, and she was struggling to sell. And I remember her saying to me, I just feel like my work has no depth. And I teach a 7-part framework inside the hub to help people sell their artwork. And one of the steps, one of the keys is your why you make art, why it matters. And the more we can understand that, the more it helps us sell, the more it helps us make better work. And it can be a difficult one to grasp. And I remember this lady, I'm not going to mention names because it was a private conversation, and she was getting stuck on her why and said, I just feel like I don't have a story. I feel like I just make my work because I want to make it. And I love textures. I just love textures. I'm drawn to textures and I like to play with textures, and that's it. That's the extent of my work. And she said, and I feel like I'm never going to sell, and I'm not cut out for selling because that's all it is. And I felt so sad reading that comment, and that's all it is. And I thought, oh no, because it is so much more than that. And that might be the reason that she makes it. Which is absolutely fine. You know, we all have our own reasons for making art that's sometimes therapeutic. It's just a distraction from the chatter in our brains. Sometimes it's because we want to change a situation in the world and we want to articulate that through art. So many different reasons. But what I found in this lady was that she was giving up because she felt that she had no depth and no story. And that was sad for me to see. And so it relates to having a sketchbook, which is what I'm going to talk about now, because when we keep a sketchbook, we dig into the meaning behind why we're doing what we're doing. And I will talk in a minute about the different types of sketchbooks and what that actually is. But in a nutshell, a sketchbook is, one of those lovely journals that we buy. And in the broadest sense, it's, as a sketchbook, we think it's where we sketch. It's a book that we have and we sketch. And it can be used for that, of course. Lloyd Lewis is one of our members, and he is a portrait artist, and he has a sketchbook that he draws in every single day. And that's his habit that he has formed, daily practice of drawing. And he has a book that he carries everywhere with him. And that's his reminder, he carries it everywhere, and that reminds him to draw every day. And he has done for years now. So he's using his sketchbook in the very literal sense of sketching in it, but it can be used in so many more different ways. And so for this lady who felt like she had no depth, I would, in those situations, recommend keeping a sketchbook. Because what happens when we keep a sketchbook as a journal? So thinking about a sketchbook in a different way, you can have different sketchbooks for different reasons, or you can have one sketchbook for everything, which is just like your creative brain downloaded. But you can keep a sketchbook like Lloyd does and just sketching it every day. But also having a journal type artist sketchbook is really helpful, because what that does captures your thoughts. And every time you see a rusty skip or a texture that you like, that you've gone on a walk. I mean, I'm looking out of my window now and I've got a rustic house, paint is peeling off everywhere. The bricks are really tatty and fallen apart. I like it like that because I like texture and things that are worn out as well. So, you know, and I've done a whole project myself on decay when I was at uni. You know, I could have quite happily have said at that point, I have no depth. I just like things in nature that have decay. I think there's so much beauty in things that are rotting, and I love rusty skips. I love taking close-up pictures of things that are peeling apart, like the paint now that I can see. That's all peeling. The pattern's so amazing. So, you know, taking a picture of that and popping that in your sketchbook, your journal, whatever you want to call it, it's a great practice to start capturing things. I mean, you can do it digitally as well nowadays. You know, you don't have to have the the traditional sketchbook where you have to print everything out that you see. I still like to work that way. I know it's not very eco, but I'm very tactile. But, you know, you can have a digital sketchbook nowadays. But it's that process of, you know, if I'm seeing this view now and this decay, taking a picture of that, and then I bring that back to my sketchbook, I pop it in there, and I talk about why. You know, you could do this on an Instagram account if you wanted to, but it's really questioning, why do I like that? What is it about that decay? And getting under the surface of it a little bit, because you'll be surprised how actually there is more to why we're making art than we realize. And going back to the lady that contacted me that said there's no story, there's no depth, there will be. She just doesn't realize it yet. And when you keep a sketchbook, what happens is you start to question, why have I taken a picture of that skip? What does it mean? And sometimes you don't have to go in that much depth. It can be, I am doing this because I want to escape the chatter. Maybe I don't want to question. I'm doing this because it's just so relaxing, and focusing on a texture and layers and collaging or whatever it is helping me to just detach from life right now. And that's okay. That goes in your sketchbook, that feeling. I'm doing this because I want to escape. But capturing these feelings as you're making in some kind of journal really helps you make sense of it all. So I've been keeping sketchbooks for years, and I never throw them away. And I have different types of sketchbooks. And I have, so this one is a current one. And I just capture things as I'm seeing them, and I just doodle when I'm sat on the sofa, and it's just it's just times where I just sit down and I just pop things in here as and when, and I play, and I just, this is like my play journal. So this is one where I just don't think about the outcome. I'm just making. I see a picture and I play and I just recreate it. And then I have another sketchbook. So this is like my play one. So that's like a practical one. So it's like not really thinking, just letting go. Now I know Sharon keeps a sketchbook, and this is so personal. Like the way you keep a sketchbook is different to everyone else. Sharon has multiple sketchbooks, but she does have one main sketchbook that she carries everywhere that has her daily sketches, and her sketches are like amazing because she's so good at drawing. I wish I could show you her sketchbook because it's just incredible. In fact, I will try and do a session where I show you inside her sketchbook because she's got a beautiful sketchbook. And yeah, she'll like sketch, but she's again processing feelings. She will write down quotes, and I'm just trying to find the one now. This is my big one. I like to work in a big books as well. You can't carry this everywhere. So this one, I carry this one around with me, which is still quite big. Sharon has little mini ones like that big. They're so cute. But what I do then, I have another book, which is where I'm processing my thoughts and my feelings as I am making. And I don't have, yeah, is it this one? I start to like mind map, you know, things that I see and connections. If I'm reading a book and I see a quote, I write it down in my sketchbook. I sketch and then I write down what I like about it. How does this relate to like what I am experiencing in my life right now? So this one is more in depth. It's more thinking about feelings and how do I feel? How does this color make me feel? What is this subject? Why am I drawing this subject? And I just start to write down little phrases. And I've also, you know, in here I was reading a book and I was starting to get loads of keywords that like triggered me, and that they're related to how I'm feeling and what I'm seeing in art and other artists. And so what this does is when you start to use it as a journal, you start to make connections and you start to formulate ideas and you start to see relationships between things that you're making. So going back to the story at the beginning from the lady that contacted me, sometimes you feel like your work has no depth. When you keep a sketchbook and you start to make connections between things, you'll start to pull out memories from childhood, why something resonates with you. It feels like there's no substance and it feels like there's no story, but what you'll do is you'll start to go, because it reminds me of this time when I was 5 or when I used to go here with family. And all of a sudden it brings more to the surface and you'll start to feel more confident as an artist because you'll start to realize there is meaning behind all of this and there is relationships between things that you're making. Sometimes feel like there's no relationship. You're just like, today I'm going to draw this and then tomorrow I'm going to draw this, and it all feels very random. But sometimes when you keep a sketchbook, and this is the importance of a sketchbook, you look back, and I like to reflect back on my sketchbooks and I see a pattern. So everything seems unrelated, but then when you start to reflect back, you'll see strange or peculiar or lovely recurring things that you're drawn to, or the way that you choose color, or the subject matter that seems unrelated is sometimes tied to something beneath the surface, something that you've gone through. I shared on Friday that I've recently gone through some personal things, and work that seemed very separate actually ties back to what I'm going through as a person in my life. And I didn't realize that. And this is another reason why keeping a sketchbook is so amazing, because it's therapy. It's a way of us actually processing our lives as well, because as artists, that's what we're doing, is we are feeling and seeing and using art to articulate that. And so keeping a sketchbook helps you notice patterns, but it helps you process your emotions as a person as well. And I've been turning to art recently. As you know, United Art Space is my full-time thing, so I don't get time to make art that often now. On Fridays is my 2 hours where I get to make art. But what I've noticed is it's helped me process a lot of personal stuff that I didn't realize I was struggling with. And it was from keeping the sketchbook that I realized, oh my gosh, it's because of this hurt that I'm feeling. That's why I made that today. It felt like there was no reason and I just wanted to draw a leaf. But the leaf actually had so much more significance than I realized. And so it helps you heal wounds. It helps you develop new ideas. I've got then another sketchbook, which is more for, I call it like recipes. So when you're making, oh no, this is a really old one, actually. This is really old. I've got another one that I've been using recently. But you know, anytime you kind of create a color, so this is, you know, colors that I've been playing around recently. So this sketchbook is like my recipe book, and what I do with that one is capture any any kind of play, if I like the outcome, or if I don't like the outcome, actually, I still record it and capture how I did it. What mixture did I create? The colours. What process did I use to create that piece of artwork? Because if you want to replicate it in the future, then you've got a record. So there's lots of different types of sketchbook. You can have one where you just do all of this, or you can have different sketchbooks for your different things. I would love to know what sketchbook, I know lots of you do keep sketchbooks, what you keep a sketchbook for. And I know you can't add in a picture as we're live now, but when I end this, you can come back to this live session and you can add pictures of your sketchbooks. And I would love, love, love to know what kind of sketchbook you keep, what you record, and I'd love to see a picture of it as well, because I love seeing inside people's sketchbooks. And this brings me to another point of the purpose of a sketchbook. So we've talked about it from the artist making practical, therapeutic point of view. When you come to sell your work, keeping a sketchbook is so helpful, because when you come to write your bio and your statements, and you come to explain individual artworks, because when you come to sell, you will get asked, what inspired your work? Why did you make it? How did you make it? When you've got a record of the process, it helps you go back, because we forget, we think we'll remember things, but when you go back to your sketchbooks, you actually think, oh gosh, yes, it was this that I was interested in. We lose sight of things. I've gone back through old sketchbooks and forgot so much that I thought I would remember. And you forget. You always think, I'll remember this, and we don't, because our heads are filled with so much stuff. And when I've gone back through my sketchbook, I've realized, gosh, this is why I did this. And so when you come to sell your work in the future, when you go back through your notes, you'll be able to write better statements, better bios. You'll be able to communicate about your art on a much deeper level, helping people to connect with it. But also, sketchbooks are great when you're going in for project applications, grant applications, approaching galleries. Galleries love seeing a sketchbook. So it can be a great conversation starter. And I've seen lots of exhibitions where people exhibit their work. Sharon does this. She will also exhibit her sketchbooks. So it helps the buyers when they're looking at the artwork. They'll go and look at the sketchbooks too. And it's fascinating for a non-artist, but even artists, to see inside another artist's sketchbook, to see ideas. Now, you can make them all fancy as well. I've got this great book, which is called Journal Revolution. And it talks to you about how you can make kind of really nice, visually pleasing sketchbooks and journals. I've never gone that far. I like to mine's just really basic, but you can make your journal really personal and visually pleasing. It might even become an artwork by itself. Another reason a sketchbook is worth keeping is, the chances of this ever happening are slim, but if there was ever a time where someone has copied your work, or copies your work, keeping a sketchbook is a great evidence source to prove that the work was actually yours from the very beginning, and it shows your developmental ideas. Now, I have known artists that have needed their sketchbooks to prove. They've had people, this happens in the design industry a lot, they've had people accuse them of stealing ideas, and they've presented their sketchbook and said, no, this is where I got my inspiration from, this is where I developed the idea, and this is how it ended up. So from that point of view, it's a great way of proving that this was my idea. But also on the flip side, if someone copies you, you can say, this was my artwork, it's original, here is my sketchbook to prove that. This is where the concept began. So that's just a side note, another way a sketchbook can be really, really useful. It can be evidence if you ever needed it. So you can have different types of sketchbooks. Like I've said, you can have the practical one, daily making one. It's all just about making. The journal type of sketchbook, where it is an extension of yourself, your thoughts, your ideas, your processes. Then you could have a sketchbook that is all just about a project of work. So if you're creating a collection of work, maybe you've chosen a theme, an idea, a subject matter, it could be just about that project. And then there's the recipes type of sketchbook, which is all about your colour mixing, maybe the materials that you've used and how you actually did it step by step, so you can come back to something that you've made and replicate it if you've created something amazing. You don't want to forget how you did it. So how amazing are sketchbooks? We overlook them, I believe, as artists, and they have so much use, so much potential, and never throw a sketchbook away. I've spent an hour on Friday looking back at sketchbooks over the years, going back to work that I absolutely hated, and I still don't like it, but what I saw was really important information. Looking back at art or ideas that I was processing over 10 years ago as a person, I was looking back on Friday, noticing things that are still important to me now, ways that I was using the leaf. It seems so insignificant, a leaf, but what I'm starting to realize is there's a lot of deep-rooted feeling towards that leaf, because it was the motif that I used to draw when I was at school and I used to have panic attacks. I used to draw the leaf because it distracted my mind from being really scared and having a panic attack. And so I was curious to why this leaf kept appearing, and it felt like it was just a leaf. And it only was last week I realized why that leaf is so important to me. For years I've said it's just a leaf, I just draw these leaves. And last week, after drawing them for like 20 odd years, 30 odd years actually, I've only just realized why it's so significant to me. And that came from my sketchbook. It came from reflecting on my sketchbook and looking back. And so those ideas as well that I had years ago, the play things where I just thought, this is so rubbish. And I was so like, I'm so rubbish as an artist. But it was so important for me to keep that work that I hated, because when I looked back recently on those pieces, it made me make connections to where I am and the person that I am today. So massive therapy. It's like free therapy as well. So that's it, guys. Keep a sketchbook, keep a journal, whatever you want to call it. You can have different ones, choose one, even if it's just get going and have one that you can carry around. Have a small one that you can put in your bag and carry everywhere, and then you will notice a difference. So let me go and check the comments. I see loads of you on today. It's lovely to see you all here. Happy Monday, everyone. It is so amazing to see you. Donna says, I kept artist journals throughout my time on uni. I do enjoy going through them. I'm quite sporadic with keeping a journal these days. They are a great idea, but I'm not consistent with them. Yeah, it's something that is habitual, but I know Sharon keeps them on a daily basis, and she's always showing me her sketchbooks and the connections, and also the way that she speaks to galleries as well when she talks about her ideas through her sketchbooks. I know that it's so valuable. So yeah, it's different for everybody. I just think if you can get into the habit of using them, they just help in so many ways, especially when you come to selling. So it is a very personal process though. Lots of people tuning in from Cape Town, Australia, India. Oh, I love it. From Melbourne, from the UK. Honey says, good morning. This is what I think I need to hear. You're so welcome. Oh, this is so great, Stacey. The smallest and most unimportant meaning to us could mean the world to someone else. You are so right. I hear this all the time, like, who would want to hear why this matters to me? Or it just feels so insignificant to us because we see it and we make our work day in, day out. And you're right, Stacey, to someone else, it can mean the world. And one comment, one way of us thinking, it's so true. Minnie says, I keep lots of different sketchbooks and notebooks, bits of paper, etc. I keep everything. Yes. And that's another thing as well, is to point out that your sketchbooks are obviously inside a book, which I really like. But Sharon talks a lot about this, that, you know, eventually when you get into making a project, rip the pages out, put them on your wall, and don't be precious about the book as such. But yeah, it's nice to have then extensions from the book. I like to have things pinned up on the wall. Oh, Lisbeth is tuning in from Holland. Thomasina is tuning in from Ireland. Lots of people. South Africa. Wow. Aren't we amazing? Like this global group all joining from around the world on a Monday. I absolutely love it. Susie says, I'm at work. Oh, but stopping for the live feed. Lottie says, I often use my sketchbook to write poems, which then inspire artworks. That's lovely. So I sketch and doodle around the poem to express the words visually and see where it leads. Amazing. Lindsay, you sound like me with what you like. Lloyd's on. I've just been talking about you, Lloyd. I love my sketchbook and I use it every day. Yes. So Lloyd did a session actually. I'd have to see if I can dig out the link and post it in here, because Lloyd did an interview last year, I think it was, where he showed us his process of keeping a sketchbook. I will dig that link out and put it in the comments after I finished, because it was really, I love seeing inside sketchbooks. So please do post your pictures in the comments after we've finished. It's a shame they won't let me put pictures whilst I'm live. You can't attach things whilst I'm live. It's so silly. I push sketchbooks in my art group too. Very important things. Jeanette's tuning in from Australia. Deb says, I love sketchbooks. They are important to me for idea development and sometimes brain dumps. Yes, we love a brain dump. Stacey has lots of different sketchbooks. Hello, Glenn. Lovely to see you. I'm the same with Decay. I did a design that was for a post. I can't say that word. There's some words that my dyslexic brain can't say, and that's one of them. Film. I like layers of history. I'm trying now to go back and say, I still can't say it. I'm trying to say it in my head. I love that everyone's connecting in Australia. I can see you all chatting with each other. Susie says, I haven't used sketchbooks yet, but I do have a couple, so best put them to use. Yes. And if you've ever had that scenario where you get a brand new sketchbook and you've got the first page and you don't want to spoil it, turn the page and go to the second page, or start from the back. You know, I don't know if you've had this, but I do it all the time when you've got that beautiful new book and you're like, what do I put on the first page? Because you feel like it has to be special. Or just scribble on the first page. That's what Sharon would say. She'd say, just do the opposite. Sophie keeps a sketchbook, loves keeping sketchbooks for one ideas and one for actual drawings. Yeah, amazing. Sipping wine whilst watching, love it. I've just got, this is so weird, I've got hot water. I started drinking boiling hot water for some reason. My sister used to do it and I thought she was really strange, and now I've started doing it. Hi, Sue. Sue keeps a sketchbook because it's a place where I explore and develop my ideas and characters. Oh, that's an interesting. I have a bujo with thoughts, feelings, plans, ideas. Lovely. I'd love to see inside that. Recently, I started printing out my artworks too. Yes, I've done that as well. And also, I was thinking you could just set up an Instagram account with no followers and just keep that as a personal journal. I love it. I've just finished my Cocoa Pops. We've got people with their breakfast and then some people who are just about to go to sleep with their wine. Leah, hello. I just bought 2 sketchbooks when I was on holiday, as I would like to get ideas down, etc. And it's not something I've done before. This sounds really helpful. Amazing. I like the recipe book idea. I've been playing with something similar with colour and fabric and stitch. Yes, I love the recipe book. I'm trying to create a collection. Does it have to be a coherent theme? I'm still an exploring hobbyist. I think that's a great question. And I think when you're about to start a collection, having a thread. So having a thread that ties it together somehow. It might be the subject matter, it might be the medium, it might be a phrase or a poem or something, a starting point. There's two things to consider here. So if you're a hobbyist, I would think about it as a project and explore ideas and play with ideas first. So thinking about a project in that sense, then a collection of work would be finished pieces. So once you've explored a theme, an idea, and play with that and use your sketchbooks to explore not finished pieces, but just, the way you're applying your marks, the way you can express, the way you use color. And then the collection becomes the finished pieces born from that. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, Deb's creating a sketchbook group over inside the hub. I'm going to send an email out about that today. So yes, that would be great. Francesca is asking, what kind of sketchbook paper do you use, or which one is better? I mean, the paper, should it be harder, thicker? I didn't use sketchbooks since school. I forgot how it was. Yeah, well, these ones have got really thick. I can't remember the weight of the paper, but it depends what you're doing inside your sketchbook. So some of them, I mean, this one is quite a decent weight because I'm doing inks and I like to get the paper wet. So if you're simply drawing, you can. It is really down to personal preference and what you're using it for in the medium. Now this one is kind of really thin paper. I'm just doing drawings and pencil work in that one, and it's really light. So sometimes if I'm carrying it around with me, I don't really want a heavy weight paper. I like a really light one, so I'll just go and buy a cheap one. And I've got little cheap books like that have really thin paper in them for carrying them around, because they can get really heavy. But if you are an artist who is carrying them around and you want to maybe do watercolor on the move, then you'd probably need a heavier weight paper inside because it would go really wrinkly and would have holes and things inside the paper. It would rip. So it depends what you want to use it for. And also, there's different, you can get different textures, textured paper or really smooth paper. So again, that's down to personal preference, really. Sometimes I like a textured paper and sometimes I just like a smooth one. So I would play around with them is what I would say. Dion, yeah, any questions, please do. If I don't catch it whilst I'm live, I will go back and check the comments and answer any questions if I can, yes. Colin's got his sketchbook on his to-do list now, amazing. Sari, hello, what great advice, love listening to you. Oh, you're so welcome. Sorry, I was reading all the comments. Missed these live sessions so much, says Kevin. Hi, Kevin, how are you? I've been so busy since lockdown was lifted. I've not been able to participate. We've missed you, Kevin. I hope you're well. Elizabeth has posted this great comment. It was actually hard to know that I don't need to make a piece of art every time I use my sketchbook. But now I have a small notebook with me to make sketches every day and note what I see and feel. Amazing. You're very welcome, everyone. Okay. Right. I think I've covered everything. If anyone has any comments or questions that I haven't answered, I will come back. So, yes, Mark, can you post the name of the journal book that you showed? Yes, I will. In fact, this one Sharon made me for Christmas. And it was literally, these ones were cheap ones. And I turned up to her house and she said, oh, we're making your Christmas present today. I said, oh, great. And she had this lovely fabric. It was an old scarf. And then she bought the book, and then she taught me how to cover the book basically with her fabric. And so this was a Christmas present that I made, but it was from her, which I just love. But yeah, I will write down the makes of these ones, and I will put them in the comments below, because I think there's something inside that tells me where these are from, and I will share those with you. But yes, and then after I've hung up here, if anyone wants to go and get their sketchbook now and take a snapshot of that and put it in the comments, I will go back and check those. Have a lovely, lovely day, and I will see you all soon. Take care.